everyone, to another week of the Focus TV. We have Octavia Wyatt here, Cardell Dudley Jr., I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. And look, a lot has happened. The official week one of the NFL season is in the books. Some of y'all need to relax. You guys have 16 more games. I'm worried about some of y'all sanity already. Um, like, it's just week one, y'all. Just deep breaths. It's going to be okay. Regardless of what happens, it's going to be okay. But Octavia, give you the floor, let you get started with your wonderful division.
Yeah, it's not going to be okay. Everybody panic. It's a mess. No. But yeah, officially here for the first week of the NFL season, and it did not disappoint on all aspects of the weekend. As you guys know, of course, I'll get to my team, but I hate playing in prime time, and that continues. But we had, of course, some other games this week, especially in the division. So we will start with the New York Giants, who kind of look like the New York Giants from last year. I don't know what it is. Them and the Vikings are just, they like to battle. But the New York Giants played against the Minnesota Vikings. They lost the Vikings 28-6. Daniel Jones was 22 of 42, 186 yards with 2 interceptions. He had 6 carries for 15 yards. Devin Singletary had 10 carries for 37 yards and 4 receptions for 15 yards. And newly acquired rookie Malik Neighbors had 5 receptions for 66 yards. There were 0 touchdowns for the Giants with 2 field goal kicks from their kicker, Graham Gano. Daniel Jones. I honestly think Daniel Jones likes throwing pick sixes. Like, I honestly believe that. I think that is a part of his game that he loves, and he likes to do it every single game. I don't know where we are with it. I listened to a couple of things, and some people are just saying he's so nervous about his offensive line, which of course he has the right to be, knowing that his offensive line has been compromised. I was about to say trash, been compromised for the last couple of years. But they did put some work into their offensive line this offseason. Of course, with Illuminor, I can't think of the rest of them off the top of my head right now. They did okay. It wasn't terrible. But Jones was still sacked 5 times, hit a total of 12. The running game never got really on track. They totaled just 74 yards in the game, and they averaged 3.5 yards per attempt. Seems like they still have a lot to work on there. It was talked about in the offseason for them that, their offensive coordinators really want to push the ball down the field, with the likes of Malik Neighbors, the fastest wide receiver they have on their team in Jalen Hyatt. They did none of those things. They hardly took any shots downfield and just had 3 receptions over 15 yards and none over 25. Rookie Malik Neighbors did have had 2 25-yard catches, which took the bulk of his reception yards for this game. I don't know. I mean, again, I talk about Daniel Jones and the offensive line. He is, granted, like I said, some of it is on the offensive line, but some of it is still on him. His thought processes when it comes to the game, it doesn't seem like he's fast enough. He holds onto the ball for too long. He's slow in his processing time. These are things that, you would have assumed for a $40 million quarterback to kind of have mastered at this point in his career. And they're still having a lot of issues when it comes to that. The defense on the other side, I mean, they made Sam Bradford look like he should be a starting quarterback his entire career, not somebody who's been a journeyman and has been bounced around in the league so far. The Giants defensive front only hit Sam Darnold twice the entire game. Dexter Lawrence had a sack, and Kayvon Thibodeau was credited with a quarterback hit. Darnold was able to complete 19 of 24 passes for 208 yards and a touchdown for a 113.2 passer rating. Shout out to Sam Bradford. Yeah, I mean, the Dayball era has been up and down. We know what happened in 2022. But since 2022, the Giants are 15, 19, and 1. Of course, if you take away that start that they had in 2022, getting them into the playoffs, where they won 6 of their first 7 games. They've gone 11-19-1, including the playoffs. Over the last 18 games, they've only scored 20.6 times and have scored 10 or fewer points 8 times. It's not looking good. It's looking a lot of the same. But I'm going to kind of do like Wilson said, relax. It's week 1. But if you're a Giants fan, it's hard to relax. You don't want to waste Malik Neighbors. You just don't want to do it. And you don't want him to get in a tailspin where we've seen other wide receivers in that franchise have a very hard time. And then to top it all off, they wore them ugly ass uniforms. It was just a mess all the way around. I mean, I understand, pay homage to the past. Those uniforms are ugly. It just is what it is. The Giants will play the Commanders on Sunday, so they'll have their first divisional game, a conference game, divisional. I can't think. NFC East game, and that will be an interesting story. So we'll go ahead and go over to said Washington Commanders, who played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and lost to the Buccaneers 37-20. Jaden Daniels, rookie number 2 pick with his first NFL game, was 17 of 24, 184 yards. He was sacked twice. He also had 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Brian Robinson Jr. had 12 carries for 40 yards and 3 receptions for 49 yards. Austin Eckler had 4 receptions for 52 yards and 2 carries for 10 yards. And I'm sorry, Brian Robinson Jr. did have a rushing touchdown as well. Not what we expected, I would assume. If you're a Washington Commanders fan, there's a lot of hype around them right now. They have the new coach in Dan Quinn. They have the number 2 pick in Jaden Daniels. They gotten some vet players in there, the Austin Ecklers, the Zach Ertz's, Terry McLaurin is still around. But of course, you know, it was kind of talked about. I don't know how big of a story it really is when you really think of the scheme of it. But the loss of Jahan Dotson, another veteran wide receiver core for a rookie quarterback that's going to need all the weapons he possibly can have around him. Although, and I'll get to him when we get to the Eagles, Jahan Dotson wasn't that much involved in the Eagles offense. It's kind of hard to think that he wouldn't have been able to at least provide some type of comfort to Jaden Daniels, especially when you have Terry McLaurin, who had 2 receptions for 17 yards. For him to be their number 1 and be that far down the list where he had 4 targets, granted, so did Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, and Zach Ertz. But it's, you know, got to get it to your guy. But I mean, I do feel like Jaden Daniels had a pretty decent opening. He showed his legs. He still shows that he cannot slide, and that is very concerning. As I'm sure as I'm assuming we'll probably get into, you know, we had a lot of rookie quarterbacks start this season, and it was quickly shown that this is not college anymore. This is another one of those, he's going to want to learn how to slide ASAP. You would hate for him to get injured pretty quickly. Mike Evans had his way. I mean, it's Mike Evans, so you can't really be too upset about it in that aspect. But with a secondary that had a pretty good preseason, you probably expected a little bit more. Baker Mayfield seems to have settled in to his position in Tampa Bay. He had an outstanding game as well. He was 24 of 30 for 289 yards through 4 touchdowns. Defense, you're not gonna, no team is gonna win like that. And to top it all off, they're still having issues with the kicker. They traded for a kicker in the offseason in Cade York. They traded for him on August 22nd. And then in his first game, he missed 2 field goal attempts and had a kickoff go out of bounds. He has officially been cut already. He hasn't even been a Commander for a month. I think they have already signed a new kicker. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But I mean, how it's difficult for them to find a kicker. I don't know what it is. It's like a kicker curse, it feels like right at this point. But it's not doing too well. Again, like I said, the defense didn't play that great, especially when you look at it losing 37-20. Some of those points in the 20 points, some of it came in garbage time. Baker Mayfield passed for, like I said, 289 yards and an efficient 80% completion for 4 touchdowns, including multiple busted coverages, poor tackling, which looks very similar to what we saw from the Washington Commanders last year. On the offensive side, not a single wide receiver had a downfield catch into the Commanders' last drive of the game, which by that time, of course, like I said, it was already garbage time. There were 3 receptions up until that point, and all 3 were screens. If you want to say there was a bright spot in the game, their running backs looked pretty decent. When you talk about Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr., Brian Robinson Jr. and Eckler were 2 of the players that kind of gave the Buccaneers defense a little bit of issues. The duo combined for 151 total yards and 1 rushing touchdown. But this isn't going to get it done. You know, they definitely got to go back to the drawing board. Again, I will give grace. It is week 1. It's a new regime. It's a lot of new players. It's a lot of new coordinators. They have a lot that they need to work out. And maybe they'll be able to do that and exercise some of their demons from this game. They'll be playing against the Giants. And as bad as we talk about the Giants and the Commanders at times, these 2 teams always seem to play each other really, really tough. You know, the last 2 seasons, I think they split a game each. I think there was a tie in 1 or 2 of those games as well. So with both teams having some new blood in there as well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that game shakes out. Next, we'll get to a very fascinating game where we had the Dallas Cowboys play against the Cleveland Browns. Dallas defeated Cleveland 33-17, and it wasn't even that close. As I'm sure we'll also talk about, that got his money, which was very unexpected as the time that it came. I think they said it came like 3 hours or 4 hours before kickoff, where he signed a 4-year, $240 million deal. Like 231 of it is guaranteed. I think it's like 28 million in bonuses. He got money. He paid. So he'll be there at least through the next 4 years. Dak Prescott was 19 of 32, 179 yards, 1 touchdown. He was sacked 3 times. He did also have 1 carry for 3 yards. Ezekiel Elliott was, to me, a little bit surprising. He had 10 carries for 40 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 carries for 9 yards. And then, of course, the reception leader is always going to be CeeDee Lamb, 5 receptions, 61 yards. And he had 3 carries for 25 yards as well. And I mean, you talk about the offensive side giving you some, of course, points scored, but the defense continues to help in that aspect as well. There was a lot. There were 2 interceptions. And I mean, I was about to say Michael Kendricks. Eric Kendricks was everywhere. For what we talked about, the Dallas Cowboys in the offseason, where Jerry Jones said they wanted to go all in, but then they didn't make too many moves. The one move that they did make was Eric Kendricks, who was reunited with his previous head coach in Zimmerman. And he looked like a game wrecker. He was everywhere. He had a really, really good game for them. Their rookie offensive tackle, he had a pretty decent game, you know, able to scheme away from Myles Garrett to kind of help him out. I think he'll be fine as time goes on. But outside of the defense and the offense, we don't always talk about the third phase of the game. Their special teams is still kicking ass. Second-year kicker Brandon Aubrey went 4 for 4 in his field goal attempts, which included a 50 and a 57-yard kick, which, side note on that, I feel like 57-yard kicks are becoming very, very easy for kickers nowadays. I feel like there were a lot of 50-plus made kicks in the opening weekend, which shows that the kicking game is on the rise. So like I said, he had a 50 and a 57-yarder. Aubrey is now 12 of 12 on career attempts of 50-plus yards and even made a 66-yard kick that was nullified because of a delay of game penalty. Also, in the special teams, that guy, Kavonte Turpin, scored on a 60-yard punt return that pretty much just sealed the game away for them. Their Achilles heel, though, is always going to be those penalties. Luckily for them, a lot of their penalties was offset by a lot of the penalties that the Browns had as well. but 11 penalties for 85 yards is definitely something that they're going to have to continuously focus on, as I feel like we say pretty frequently every year. Their defense, I mean, it's still outstanding. We know they lost Dan Quinn, but Mike Zimmerman came in, and again, it still doesn't look like they missed a beat. The Cowboys pressured quarterback Deshaun Watson all game, finished with 6 sacks, led by veterans DeMarcus Lawrence and Eric Kendricks, who each had 2 sacks. The Cowboys had 2 interceptions as they continue to force turnovers. I feel like they get at least 2+ turnovers a game from last year. We'll see if that trend continues. And Trayvon Diggs, coming back off of the ACL injury, was one of those who was able to get a pick in that game. So, I mean, I think a lot of people had their doubts about the Cowboys coming into this opening game, knowing how, quote unquote, dominant the Cleveland Browns defense can be, but they definitely neutralized Myles Garrett. They schemed very well to kind of take him out of the fray. So it's a positive sign for them, especially with CD not having a full training camp. The whole, hanging over the head of, is Dak going to get a deal or not? Now that that's all behind them, it seems like they're able to focus. They're going to have what can surprisingly be a pretty competitive game next week, just based off. Now, granted, the Saints played the Panthers, but they beat the Panthers like 47-10 or something. They beat them down. So the Cowboys will play against the Saints on Sunday at 1. We'll see how that works out for them. If the Saints can continue to have a good opening stretch to their season, or if the Cowboys are going to shut that down pretty quickly. And last but not least, the Philadelphia Eagles played on Friday in Brazil against the Green Bay Packers, who they defeated 34-29. Excuse me. Jalen Hurts was 20 of 34, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was sacked twice. He had 13 carries for 33 yards. Saquon Barkley, thank you for coming. We appreciate you. 24 carries for 109 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He also had 2 receptions for 23 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 119 yards, and 1 touchdown. I first want to say that field was trash as always. I don't know why we keep playing on these trash-ass fields, but it is what it is. Both teams had to play on the same field, and you definitely saw very early on both teams were having a hard time keeping their footing, literally. But it did seem to kind of settle down as the game went on. You can tell a lot of them had to change their spikes, I believe, to what they call studs. So they were able to kind of get it together. I don't care what Nick Sirianni says about he doesn't feel like the fact that none of the starters played in the preseason had any bearing on this game. I think that's a bunch of BS. I think they should at least play a series or 2 in the preseason. I feel like it helps with a lot of this rust, even though, across the league, there was a lot of rust in a lot of these games as well, as expected. But I just think that, going out there to get a couple of reps in will help them out. I understand trying to preserve them, not energy, but preserve them and keep them from being injured. But I just think it would have helped. Jalen had a on and off game. Definitely started off pretty shaky. You can tell that he's still getting used to Cam Jurgens as the new center. There were definitely some exchange issues. There were some bad decisions on his part as well, throwing the interceptions and just not making smart plays. They were able to settle down, and he definitely did make a lot of good plays. A.J. Brown showed Jair Alexander, baby, you too small. It's cool. It's nice, but, he had a really, really good game. And the offense showed what the offense can do. The defense also showed what the defense can do when they're whole. I think the biggest takeaway for me on the defensive side is going to be Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond. Zach Bond was everywhere. Nakobe Dean was everywhere, especially coming off the fact that we were probably under the impression that Devin White would be the starter, although he had I think it was an ankle injury that kept him out of this game. I don't even think he traveled with the team. There was definitely some bright spots on that side. Quinyon Mitchell, the rookie, he liked to talk and he liked to hit, and I think that's what we've been needing. He definitely has to keep it in perspective, make sure that, he stays on his assignments. But all in all, it was a okay. It was not okay, but it was, a good first game. Getting out of the game healthy, getting out of the game with a win, and of course, the biggest noise, of course, is Saquon Barkley, 24 carries, 109 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 catches, 23 yards, and I mean an amazing touchdown reception in the end zone. This is what we need. There were a lot of situations in that game where Jalen, on the run pass option, decided to keep. And pretty early on, I was like, just hand the ball off. Just give it to Saquon. He wasn't really able. Jalen, that is, wasn't really able to kind of get his footing, even though he did have some good runs towards the end of the game. But all in all, I mean, it was a pretty good, start to the season. Getting a win. For whatever reason, we have to go back to prime time again. They will be playing Monday night against the Atlanta Falcons, who again is also coming off of a lackluster performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, when there's a lot of hype around them as well. So I'm sure they're going to be looking for a lot of good back as well. It's going to be a very interesting season. I'm just happy it's finally here. I feel like there's like only a couple of days in between that times I actually get to watch real live NFL football. So I'm excited and just looking forward to next week.
Yeah, I think a lot of people looking forward to next week. There's a lot of sloppy play throughout the first week, and again, a reminder: some people are like preseason doesn't matter. Okay, had an effect for some folks how they start the season. Some folks that held out and other different things looked a little, looked like, I don't know, they weren't ready for football, because it's one of those things. Cardell, we've heard you say this many times over the years. You practice football by playing football, and there's no substitute for, we're in a new age. Everyone doesn't always do tackling to the ground these days and everything. So sometimes it's folks' first live reps hitting folks is in week one, which is crazy because it matters. It counts for things, but it is what it is. Gotta love this day and age. On to the Mystics, filling in for Ray tonight on that accord. Let me go ahead and get that in real quick. Washington lost a tough one this weekend to the Minnesota Lynx. The Mystics came into that game just half game out of 8th place. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't get the home win. We saw Nafisa Collier and Courtney Williams executing the 2-woman game pretty flawlessly down the stretch in that one. Again, they lost that one 78-71. Washington's bench, which had been great during like the last 5 to 6 games, providing them with a ton of production on a nightly basis, kind of fell back to earth a little bit and really just missed opportunities and just failing to execute down the stretch cost Washington in this one. Carter and I talked about this a little bit at length in Mystics Outlook following that game, which if you guys missed any episode of Mystics Outlook, just go to our channel, check out the game that you did miss. But again, it was a tough one, but Washington still has a chance. They have this 3-game stretch this week, which kind of like, the season's right here for them in terms of the postseason berth. As of tonight, when we're recording this week's show, there are 2 games back of the Chicago Sky and 1 game back of the Atlanta Dream. The Sky currently have the 8th and final postseason spot. However, Washington has a chance to do something about that. They play the Chicago Sky on Wednesday, and then they play the Dream on the road on Friday. Then they return home to host the Dream on Sunday. So again, they have an opportunity to really make a run for this postseason. We'll see how things shake out this week, but it is a very crucial stretch, which didn't get any easier because had you won on Sunday, might have, given yourself a little bit more wiggle room. If not, definitely gained a step in the right direction in terms of the standings. Again, don't forget to visit our channel for any episodes of Mystics Outlook you may have missed and check in with us this week on Mystics Outlook as we recap these very important games as the Mystics head down the stretch and try to get this thing done. Again, they went through quite a bit this season. 3 games, 3-game stretch. They got a chance to make the postseason. We'll see how things shake out at the end of this all. with Cardell. Know we got a new segment for you this week. Want to get straight to it. We got the DMV College uh, preview. I think we're starting this week with the transfer watch list. So, floor is yours.
Yes, sir, man. The college season is right around the corner. I'm gonna try to highlight different, watch lists that going into the season that people should, for players and teams that people should, keep an eye on, as the 24-25 season is set to begin. Jumping right into this one, we're gonna get on the I'm not gonna say top transfer watch list, but guys you should expect to make a major impact at their uh new schools. We're gonna start off with Jeremy Roach, 6'2" point guard. He's a grad student, transfer from Duke. He's at Baylor now. Last season he averaged 14 points per game, 3.3 assists per game, 2.5 rebounds, 1.1 steals on 46.8% shooting from the field, 42.9% from deep, and 84% from the most efficient all guard. I think what he's going to bring to Baylor is similar to what he brought to Duke. But I think he may have better athletes across the board. Maybe not necessarily basketball players, but better athletes across the board. And with his big game experience, I think he'll be the right ingredient for them to kind of, make a run. You know what I mean? If they stay healthy, make a run, in conference, and also trying to get to the tournament, make a run there. But what makes him special is his efficiency, man. He don't really make too many mistakes, and any mistakes you make, he makes you pay. Solid defender as well, so you can't really take advantage of him or try to pick on him on the defensive end. And again, he's played 100+ college games, at the highest level. He's seen it all. So any situation that you're going to throw at him or throw at Baylor, he sec and Baylor in a good position and game, man. So keep an eye on Anwar Gill, 6'4" guard and forward, grad student. He's a transfer from LaSalle. He's at Howard right now. He averaged 9.3 points, 3.8 rebounds last year. Toughness, versatility, kind of a, Swiss Army knife type of player, but I think he's going to do most of his damage on the wing. He can get in there in the MEAC, mix it up with the bigs, even guard some fives, depending on who they're playing in the MEAC, and get timely rebounds, putbacks. He's a streaky shooter, but he's still a 3-level scorer. You got to respect he can hit threes, kill you from the mid-range, and also obviously get to the basket and get to the free throw line. And he's also a smart player, comes from good pedigree, he played for Gonzaga and DC. Also played for a great coach at LaSalle. So the thing with him is that's going to make him a threat is teams will have to be able to find him. And Kenny Blakeney at Howard, the head coach, he will be able to use him in so many ways. Gil will be forced to, in a way, to make an impact and, help Howard continue their winning ways, man. Obviously the preseason rankings haven't came in the MEAC, but I expect Howard to be towards the top of the MEAC for sure. Next up is Braden O'Connor, 6'4" guard, a junior out of George Mason. He's a transfer from UMass Lowell. Averaged 9.9 points, 3.8 rebounds per game. As a sophomore, I expect a major, impact for him at George Mason. I think, at Mason, I think he'll have the ball in his hands a lot more and be able to really show his all-around game a little bit more, especially on the defensive end. They're going to need him to. Thing that's underrated, yes, he's a shot maker. He can score from all 3 levels and shoot the ball pretty well. Thing that's underrated is how he reads the game, how to pick and roll sets and stuff. And with the bigs that George Mason got, that's essential for the guard play there, to maximize that team. They're going to have to make the right reads and get the ball to the bigs in their prime scoring position, but also understand when they need to take it and go get a basket or whatnot. And I think he has all the tools to just, honestly do a lot of damage in the A-10, man. You know what I mean? The thing is, he's flying under the radar. And one thing I like about him, he's a dog. He's quiet, but he wants those tough matchups. He seeks them out. The coaches don't have to amp him up to get on it. He looking at the coaches like, yo, why ain't you put me on him? It's more like that. So, that's contagious, and I expect him, just cause havoc, honestly, man, as he get adjusted. And then in the non-conference season, then when A-10 start, I expect him to just be smooth and steady with what he does. Next up, we stand with George Mason, is Giovanni Imadru, 6'11" center, redshirt junior. He's a transfer from Siena. He averaged 11.3 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and 56.8% from the field. Athletic beast, man. He should be one of the most imposing bigs in the A10 for sure. Athletic specimen. He can run the floor well, block shots, rebound, and has a solid post game. And most important, he can step out, hit a 10-footer as well. But most importantly, he will put your ass in the basket and finish strong, and that will be huge. Like I said, with the guard play that they have and all that, George Mason, if he can bring that same impact he had at Siena and bring it to them in the A10 or in that non-conference schedule, he could be a force. He could be a force on both ends. And for him, for him, it's just adapting to when teams, that scouting report, catches up and try to force him to weaknesses, and most, they're going to kind of force him out, try to get him out of the paint as much as possible, and it's up to him to just keep imposing as well, and to the fact where they just like, hey man, just do the best you can, what I'm saying? That's what you kind of want to see from him. But he has all the physical tools, man, to be a force this season. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on him. I'm excited to see what he brings to Mason. Next up, man, we're going to go on the Maryland side of things. Jacoby Gillespie, 6'1" point guard junior. He's a transfer from Belmont. He's a true point guard, but he can score the hell out the ball, man. Jameer Young, who just graduated from Maryland, was a natural scorer. Put Maryland on his back. Definitely last season, but pretty much throughout his career once he transferred from Charlotte. Jacoby can score almost as good, but he's a better facilitator, and they're going to need that with, Julian Reese, and then, the freshman Derek Queen being down there, and another guy, Tafari Kapari, who's on this list I'm going to talk about in a few as well. They need somebody that can facilitate and get those bigs touches and get them in prime scoring position. And he's capable of doing. He's very shifty. Also a dead-eye three-point shooting almost 39% from three last year. He averaged 4.2 assists, which in college is very impressive. And and he's not, even though he's small, he's crafty. He's smart. He understands how to get in there and get key rebounds. He almost averaged 4 a game. So he's just a complete basketball player, man. For him, it's just holding up defensively with his size. You look, man, the Big Ten is a grind. It's more of a slow-down physical league. So that's something that, he's going to have to prove that he can handle the punishment that comes from other bigger guards throughout the league. But on the other end, they got to guard him and keep up with his speed and quickness. And that's something that's very difficult to do, man. So I think he's going to help Maryland tremendously, man, and just kind of bring balance to the team that, to be honest, they haven't really had in a while from a point guard position. Next up is Malik Mack, 6'1", point guard, sophomore. He's at Georgetown now, transfer from Harvard. Ivy League freshman, best freshman last year. He averaged 17.2 points, 4.8 assists, 4 rebounds, 1.3 steals, on 34% from three and 81% from the free throw line, man. Similar to Gillespie, he's a natural point guard who has a great feel for the game, can make the right reads. But when he's a streaky shooter, but when he's on, he can put points on the board, man. And, he's tough. Obviously, going to the Big East, very physical, grind. Hopefully, this summer he's been working on getting stronger in his physical stature. We'll see soon enough. But if he adds the proper strength that, from his freshman year to his sophomore year that he should add, trying to bang in the Big East, I think he'll be fine, man. And obviously playing at home, I think he'll be always on one, just trying to show the whole town, his family and everything, trying to restore, some of the spotlight back to Georgetown that's been missing for a while. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see what he does, man. Very crafty scorer and playmaker, man. I love this game ever since he was in high school. So, definitely rooting for him, but he's one to watch because they're going to need him to produce if Georgetown has any shot at trying to make noise this season. Next up is another Ivy League freshman from the area, Tyler Perkins, 6'4" guard, sophomore. Villanova transfer from Penn. Last year, he averaged 13.7 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 1.4 steals per game. Look, Villanova is very loaded on a perimeter, so I'm not expecting him to come in like gangbusters and just and stuff. Penn, make an impact where and who's a classman who had big game experience, who are kind of ahead of him on the depth chart right now. I expect him to kind of, keep things going while they get rest or whatnot, and they don't miss a beat, man, because he's capable. The thing with him, he has to prove is, can he make the right reads in the game to be able to float between both guard spots? I think that'll be critical for him to determine how many minutes he plays on the floor. If he's just stuck trying to be a scorer and a defender, he's going to be stuck at the two, and then it's going to be tough to maximize his minutes at both guard spots. But if he's able to make the right reads, man, he could play point and the two. I think Villanova would be much better, and he'll be much better, and they'll be able to put wins on the board. And also, I think his minutes will be very heavy. Even though he's not starting, he will play starter minutes, so to speak. On enough to improve. So he'll be able to hold up there, and that I think that's what's holding him back, just being able to prove he can make the players around him better and manage the game. Next up is Tafara Gapari, 6'9" junior out of Maryland, transfer from Georgia Tech. He started his freshman year at UMass, so that's where I first saw him. Last year, he averaged 5.1 points and 3.5 rebounds, but don't let the stats fool you. He's a special player. Wilson was there with me when we played him in the championship game. Super athletic, and that's what caught my eye when he was at UMass, like Stromile Swift type athlete. You know what I mean? But I think he's also improved from UMass, where he was just a raw athlete, to now when you saw, in the Kenner League, he's versatile as hell. He can bring the ball up, hit the short jumper. Obviously, he can finish, defend multiple positions, rebound. He's going to be somebody that Maryland can use in a myriad of ways to make an impact. He got to keep working on expanding his game, where on the perimeter he could be able to create and hit the shots off the bounce, on the move or whatnot. But for what he brings, it's not far-fetched to see him being a double-digit scorer and being a 5+ a game rebounder, as well as getting up there and a couple blocks a game as well, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he has the physical tools and the skill set to do so, man. So if he brings what he brings to what obviously what Julian Reese already brings and what is expected of Darren Queen to bring, that's going to be a formidable front court for Maryland and in the Big Ten. Next up is Josiah Trumbull, 6-foot point guard, junior out of Fresno State. He's a transfer from PG. Maryland JUCO Player of the Year, averaged JUCO All-American, averaged 23.4 points and 2.4 rebounds on 37% shooting from deep last year. Look, he's a bucket getter. He's a natural crafty scorer. So that's what I think they signed him for. That's what I expect him to do, man. Obviously, he has to prove as a small point guard. You got to make the players around him better. There's no getting around that. And be able to hold up defensively. But putting the ball in the hole, that's what he does, man. So I think he's going to be kind of used as a spark plug that when he gets in the game, go to work, you know what I mean, and help put points on the board for Fresno. And, I think he's fully capable of doing that, man, because then one thing about him, he's tough, and he's eager to prove that he belonged on the Division I level. Last but not least is R.J. Blakeney, 6'6" guard and forward, senior. He's at Old Dominion. He's a transfer from Dayton. Last year, he averaged 7.9 points and 4.4 rebounds per game. A Swiss Army knife, man. Super athletic Swiss Army knife type of guy. Due to his height and his athleticism, he can guard 1 through 4, especially in the conference that Old Dominion plays. Shoot. And just does all the intangible, the hustle plays, the second chance points, timely steals, being sound defensively. Obviously, coming from Dayton, they always are at the top of the A-10, challenging for A-10 supremacy and being able to get to the tournament. So what he's also going to bring is winning habits and winning mentality to Old Dominion under first-year coach Mike Jones, longtime DeMatha coach. So that's a slept-on pickup that I think will pay dividends throughout the season, man, and help Old Dominion definitely improve over last season, man, for sure.
Hey, man, we're looking forward to it. It's crazy that the year's moving by that quick. Like, college basketball's right here, around the corner. We're looking at media days and all that stuff in like a couple weeks, which means preseason tournaments, all that stuff. Like, this year's flying by. I hope you guys took a good stock of the names on that list. so you can get yourself familiar with it, with those young fellas' names. Because again, obviously, we know we're in the age where there's a lot of movement every year in the off season on both the men's and women's side in college sports, regardless of what the sport is. But again, keep track of those names and looking forward to this segment as this college season approaches. I guess we'll get on the rapid fire. It has been so much crazy stuff happening. So where we started?
Oh boy, yeah, yep. We definitely start on the NFL side. We got to talk about this. The Miami-Dade Police Department released the citations given the Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill, who's pulled over before his team's game on Sunday outside of Hard Rock Stadium. Hill was cited for careless driving and a seatbelt violation and traffic stop that has dominated and probably will continue to dominate conversation following the release of the body cam footage. The citations state that Hill was observably traveling for limit on that 30 miles of duties as an internal affairs investigation takes place. The detention of Hill as he was placed face down on a road and handcuffed has sparked intense reactions. The wide receivers agent Drew Rosenhaus told Dan Levitar show on Tuesday that he believes the officers involved should be fired. Hill's teammate Tua Tagovailoa was shocked and made emotional by the video. Wilson, if you can, please play the footage.
Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Like what? Why do you have it up? What you gotta do? Sit down. Hey! Keep your window down. Hey, keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Give me that. Get out of the car. Give me that. We'll break that freaking window. Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out. 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 What part of blood don't you understand? Hey, Drew. Hey, Drew. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting arrested. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting up, bro. God damn, twin. When we tell you to do something, you do it. You understand? I'm getting up. You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little fucking confused. I'm getting out, bro. Too late. Too late. All right, bro. Take me to jail, bro. Do what you gotta do, bro. We are. We will. Good, bro. It is good. Hey, Drew. Hey. Don't worry about it. I hung up the phone. You stop crying, bro. Y'all. Don't move. Good. Bro, you beating on my window like you crazy. You set him up? Why y'all beating on my window like y'all crazy for? Damn, yo, bro, dude beating on my window like he crazy. I ain't do nothing, twin. Damn.
Hey, don't park there. Don't park there.
Hey. Hold on, twin. Hold on, bro. I just had surgery on my knee. bro. I just had surgery on my knee, bro. I just had surgery in your ears when we go there. Chill, bro. Hey, Joe New, bro. Back up. Hey, call Drew. Hey, call Drew, bro. Hey, call Drew, bro. Hey, what? Hey, call Drew, bro. Just call Drew. Hey. I'm not doing nothing. What am I doing that's wrong?
Hey, listen.
Hey, listen. Hey, man, they got Tyreek. The cops over here beating on him, man. They over here beating on Tyreek,
Listen,
man.
big man. Don't park there, man. Just get in the car.
Hey, Drew, you gotta come, man.
Just get in the car.
Right up the side, on the side of the
Hey, get in the car. You're parked in the middle of the street.
I'm in the car. You gotta go before you get a ticket.
Hey, you're in the car.
Who's the driver? This is my car. All right, move. You gotta move right now.
Let me have your license. You're gonna have to ticket too.
I'm coming.
Let me have your license. You're gonna have to ticket. Let me have your license.
I'm leaving.
I'm not playing. Let me have your license. Your license right now. Your license right now. You're not gonna give me your license?
Get in the car and leave.
You're not gonna give me your license?
I'm leaving.
Let me have your license. Your license right now.
Sir,
Hey, your license right now. Or I'm gonna lock you up. Your license right now.
He just told me to
Your
leave.
license right now.
Sir, he just-
You're dealing with me now.
Sir.
Your license right now.
So obviously we all saw the video. Octavia, just what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
I'm just so tired. These videos always remind me that ego is a hell of a drug. Police are supposed to de-escalate situations, not escalate situations. But it seems like when it comes to people who have the same skin color as us, they don't know how to do that, regardless of what they are. And it's disgusting. It's disheartening. Yeah, I mean, maybe there will be people that will say that Tyreek wasn't polite enough or whatever the situation is. He's not required to be polite. He didn't do anything ridiculous. I mean, granted, yeah, he maybe said some things, but at the end of the day, like, I don't think that it warranted the way that he was forcefully pulled out of a car. I don't think that, it had to get escalated to that aspect. But it's kind of par for the course at this point. Like, I hate to say that I feel like I've become desensitized to these situations because it seems like they always happen. Do I think both parties could have been better? Definitely. I think Tyree could have handled it better, but I do think that the police who are trained should have handled it better as well. It's just a sad situation that this continues to happen in the United States. I'm grateful that nothing detrimental happened to either party. To be fair, you never want to see anybody lose their life over a traffic stop, regardless of police or civilian. It's just a sad situation. I just wish that both parties could have handled it in a better way, but I don't think that the extra force that was done was necessary. It's just disheartening at this point.
Wilson?
Yeah, it's just nasty. Just a reminder, like, for folks who like to pretend some of this stuff doesn't exist, it exists. And for those of us on this side of the spectrum of skin color, it doesn't matter who you are and what you've accomplished at all. Like Octavia said with the ego thing, like, you just had to issue a ticket and keep it moving. Them to come to find out afterwards that, like, the stories that were going around about him going 110 and all this other stuff, no. Come to find out it was your guesstimation. That, like, it just gets worse. The more this come out, the worse it gets. Like, it looked like what it looked like at the beginning. Some of us reserved judgment for a little bit. Then the more information that came out, it just doubled down, tripled down. That is exactly what most of us thought it was to begin with. Right? On that motorcycle, if that dude was going 1 something, you weren't catching up that quick. At the beginning of the body cam video. All right. 2, it seemed like somebody was okay with, if I was speeding, it's a ticket. Cool. Give me my ticket. It is what it is. Thirdly, your job's protect and serve. It's like this whole crazy thing with someone needs to humble thyself before you for a ticket or a traffic stop or something like that. I don't understand it. And then the nonsense with folks like, well, if you comply, bro, we've seen every variable of this situation. You can comply and not live. You cannot comply and not live. Right? At some point, like, address the actual issue. And again, if this wasn't Tyreek Hill, how does this end? That what, like, even look how they were talking. What was that? That's John O. Smith's been NFL. Calais Campbell, NFL. All those people right there. Like, the craziness on camera, and people are still, you see some of the comments or whatever, it's still, oh, well, so-and-so was wrong. You should have just did this, and this. Dude, if somebody, the energy that person approached that car with, Nothing that was going to be done is short of exactly what that person wanted in that moment was going to change any of that. Like the type of time they was on, like you got one cop, I think, talking to John Smith is like, hey, just get in the car and leave. The other ones, you're dealing with me now. Who do you want them to listen to and or follow? What are we doing here? But, go ahead, Carter.
Yeah, it's multiple layers for me. Obviously, them cops were on one. They were out of line. With how they treated Tyreek, and even how they talked to his teammates or whatnot. But I've seen many NFL players say this, man, you gotta do what you gotta do to get home. So Tyreek played a part in this as well. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Officer, here I am. You roll down your window. You already know he on one. You're black. You got a nice car. You roll down your window. First thing you say is, dog, don't be tapping on my window like that. Come on, man. You amping it up. And see, people want to think that they could just say and do whatever they want to do and stuff like that. I'm trying to tell you, as a dude that's been on the other side of that gun, it ain't too fun. It ain't too much fun on that side. All right. Also, been dealt with crooked, racist ass police. It ain't too much fun. So we are taught, father, uncle, fathers of my friends, yo, just comply. So when I get pulled over, first thing, with all my windows down, license registration out the window. Because people who haven't got pulled over, especially as a black man, what they do is the first guy's creeping up on your driver's side trying to see what's going on. License, you know why I pulled you over? Whatever, speeding. Whatever you any reason. No, officer, why you pulled me over? You were speeding. Okay, here's my license and registration. But if you turn to the right quickly, it's another cop in the cut looking right in there just to see if you're gonna do something. And if you even look like you're gonna do something, that could be it. So I rolled down on my window so they know I'm not a threat. You got to diffuse the situation so everything can be calm. Tyreek was running his mouth. And before that, he rolled up the window disrespecting him. Come on, man. See, that comes off very smug. Now you put the battery in his back to continue to do everything else. So he got to take some responsibility in that as well. Now, this doesn't justify what the cop did, because he could have been like, you know what, man, I'm going to give you a big-ass ticket and you can go on about your way. He could have easily did that as well. But how many incidents does it take for you, as Tyreek Hill, as a black man, to understand you're not exempt from this? You're not exempt. So why even put gas on that fire? That's the part he got to play. And I'm tired of people making excuses. Shut up, bro. Because like you said, if he was Tyreek Smith or Tyreek Johnson or something like that, it would have been a wrap. Especially if it was in night on the back road, they would have fucked him up if they didn't kill him. But if you just play cool, roll down your windows, yeah, you know why you getting pulled over? No, you was speeding. You doing 60 and a 40. Okay, officer, my fault. Here's my license and registration. Look, I'm Tyreek Hill. I play for the Dolphins. I'm about to get to the game. I need to get to the game. I'm late. That's on me, man. Can you just give me my ticket and I'll be on my way? And then it would have been no reason to escalate it. Now, if he came off with that energy and the dude escalated it, all on the car. But you can't do that, because people have gotten killed for far less. So and I know he's seen it. So why pull gas on that, man? And you already know they're on one because of who you are, what you're driving, and what you represent. So then by the time his teammates pulled up, they ain't trying to hear none of that. They ain't trying to hear none of that, bro. So you gotta be smart out here, man. You gotta get back to your kids, man. You gotta get back to your family. It ain't about that. You came off on some all that energy and stuff like that macho energy and all that. All right, cool. Now they're gonna really show you who's boss. And now you on the ground and stuff like that, getting cuffed and stuff like that. And all that possibly could have been avoided had you just, hey, man, kept the window there. So you rolled up the window. Just think about it from the car perspective. In that one incident, he rolling up the window. Where in the world can you get away with that as a normal civilian? Yo, here's my license registration. Don't tap on my window no more. First of all, they're going to break your shit and drag you up out the car. Because now they don't know if you a threat, especially you got tents and stuff. We don't know if you about to reach for something or whatever. You got to look at it from that person. People just pick a side and just look at it from that point of view. Man, you got to look at the whole thing. And I'm not justifying what the cop did, but I'm not going to also just dismiss what Tyreek, the role he played in it. Now, they said you were speeding in the 64. We're going to see if that's true. We don't know. That's what they said. That's why they pulled you over. Okay. You were wrong in that. Just pay the ticket. You got more than enough money, but just pay the ticket so you can go about your business, bro. And if you disagree that they just mess with you, take them to court. But the point is, you make it home alive. and you're not embarrassed. They're not messing with you. You see what I'm saying? So he got to take some responsibility in that as well, because like I said, had it been another situation where you was by yourself, you probably be dead right now, especially with the energy they was on. So you gotta be smart, man. It's like I just don't understand all that, man. You ain't gotta prove nothing. Like no disrespect to you, Alton, when you say he don't gotta be polite. Yes, you do. He got the gun and he got the law, and he will lay your ass down. Yes, you do. It ain't about having an ego, man. It's about like I gotta keep it moving. Now, if it was fair game, we could scrap and get it done. Sure. If you feel like you want to take that road, fine. But you're not gonna win that battle because he has the law on the side, and then he got the gun. He got the power right then and there. And I've looked at a lot of NFL players who's on these shows. I want to see what they would say, all different type of rage, and they kind of all agree, like, yeah, he was doing too much. He was doing too much of that. You got to chill. You got to chill, be calm. What's the problem, officer? Blah, blah. All right, my bad. That's on me. Look, I'm late for the game. Can you just give me my ticket and be on my way? Man, even that, they'll mess with you. If you just say something like that, they'll just keep you there just to be spiteful. Keep you there for a long ass time just to make sure you miss the game. Just be spiteful. They'll mess with you. So why pour gas on that with the talking? Even when he was standing up and stuff like that, or when they was trying to, when he was in cuffs and stuff like that, he's still talking. Like, dog, just shut up. Sometimes just shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. Because that could have easily went the other way, man. So, yes, them cops need to be dealt with accordingly, but somebody need to talk to Tyreek, man, because now, moving forward, the other cops around the country seeing it too. And then they're going to be like, oh, he think he a hot shot little football player. So now them type of cops that we're talking about that are great greasy and look to do this type of stuff, especially the black athletes, if they catch them slipping, what you think they're going to do? Because now they know, like, all right, the benefit of the doubt is gone. This is the second incident. This is my chance. So you think you better than me? Roll the window up on me and see what happens. And at the end of the day, what is it going to do for him? It's on you, Wilson. I know we out of time.
Yeah, he just wasn't thinking about that part of getting home. As most of us have those talks about getting home. That's the goal of all of it, getting home, or honestly, just surviving the stop, bro. Like,
that's it.
Like, honestly,
I got the money and the resources. I can tell the Dolphins, we can go up the ladder politically. I can get your ass. That's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna get you. But he came off like a young dumb dude that don't know no better. I know you know better. You so old for this. Because if that were to escalate and they shot him dead, then what? What you gonna tell his kids? My daddy was a G. He bucked at the cop. Yeah, he in the grave now. Now you ain't got no father. So what did they do?
Again, I'm happy it didn't go the other way. Because again, if it wasn't Tyreek Hill, it was Tyreek Jones, Smith, etc. Totally different story. Also, you wouldn't have national writers talking about it and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole lot of, again, the fact that it was him had a whole lot to do with a lot. But again, like you said, Cardo, black man, bro, it's about surviving that stop.
So you gotta assume he on one. I'm driving a nice car, dog. As soon as you roll down your window, he started with you. And dog, don't bang on my window like that. Any man, hold on, bro. Who you talk? Like, calm down, bro. You wasn't wrong. That's why I'm pulling you over. Then you give me the license registration. Come on, man. And then roll your window up. Like, dog, you disrespect. Like, you could be in a parking lot, man. And what if some fans would have wrote him, oh, Tyreek Hill, can I get your autograph? He rolled the window down. Hey, man, can I get your autograph here? You're back up off my car. Roll the window up. I'm like, damn, he an asshole. So what do you think? How do you think that's going to fly with a car pulling you over, bro? So he took some action to amp that up. They just said, and then they said, F it. Now, that was their fault. You still got to be like, oh, see, me as a cop, if you going to take it there or you want to be disrespectful, this ticket about to be about $250. That's how I'm going to get you if you want to be petty. But they, of course, now they're going to take it as a grumble. Man, get your ass out the car now. Now I'm going to embarrass you because now you trying to embarrass me. But if he didn't do that, to be honest, they were calm at first. They wasn't on that. But once you did that, that gas let them, okay, fuck it. Get your ass out the car. Now I'm going to show you who's boss. And we all know that's where it could go to. So again, why even do that? Why even get the mouth and all rolling your window up, especially with the situation, man? They don't, they may not even watch football. I don't know. I mean, you could say they know who he is, but they don't know. Because he could have easily, man, drug dealers are driving that car. See what I'm saying? Like, let's be for real. So what is protocol? And I'm not standing up and justifying it. I'm just looking at the whole thing that he could have done to try to stop that situation from getting where it got to. Before, you know what I'm saying? It's just that. Plenty of cops that got killed and off that because they rolling up and they ain't checked that. And then now they're dead. What are their kids going to do? So at that point, bro, what am I wrong? What am I wrong for? Yo, you speeding. Okay, all right, officer, that was on me. And I apologize. Just can I get my ticket and stuff and move on? And just say that. Just be humble about it. Then you can move on. Man, car pulling me over. Then you get them the other way. You go to court and you fight.
Yeah, it was just that whole thing was nasty to see, and again, just reminded that so many of y'all pretend like that stuff doesn't happen, man. There's any and every multiple traffic stops across the country at any time. Happen rightly, wrongly, and don't always end that way. Some end far worse. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. We appreciate y'all. Don't forget to check in with this several more times this week for Mystics Outlook. Then obviously next week we'll see what happens in week 2 of the NFL, man. Because y'all went crazy during week 1. See what week 2 looks like. We appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all soon.